What's up, world? My name is John, and I'm trying to put my story, my crazy life story, out there. In my previous recording, part 11, I ran out of storage on my cell phone, so I couldn't record anymore. So I had to, clean up and get some room so I can record some more videos. So this is part 12 of my crazy American story. All right. In my last video, I was talking about how I went back to Czech, and basically I just had lots of sex for a month and a half, and then I got a phone call from my former boss, and he told me he's got some more work for me in Georgia, United States. So what I did, I told my girlfriend that I need to go back and make some more money, and she was supposed to come, to United States, after me, so we could like work together and save up, money together. But of course, she never came. She was scared, afraid, and it ended very quickly. And I, I I didn't even I didn't feel any kind of remorse for that. It was what it was, and I just kept going. So I flew. So back in 2002, I flew back to Atlanta, and I got a job as, again, cleaning floors at, I think it was Publix stores. I don't really remember, but I had a couple of stores in southern Georgia or central Georgia, and we had a rental house in Thomaston, Georgia, right? So they put me in this rental house with another girl, or I should say a woman, and she was almost like a man. And she was also cleaning stores like me, but we didn't really get along. We didn't even talk to each other all day long, and she was actually fucking with my other boss, with the boss that originally picked me up at the airport, Zdenek. I think that they were fucking together because he was visiting her all the time. And anyway, what I remember on that house while I was living there, and it wasn't for a long time, it was like maybe a month, or it was like a couple of months I was in Thomaston, because that deal didn't work out for my bosses. So I think they lost those stores very soon. So I don't remember exactly how long I've been there. I think it was like a couple of months, maybe 3 months. I'm not really sure. But uh, as we were living there, as we moved to the house, I was supposed to take care of like getting the electricity hooked up, and she was supposed to get like the gas hooked up, but we never got the gas hooked up. And we were actually showering in cold water for like the entire month. Like, uh, I mean, I didn't mind because I don't mind cold water, but she was fucking pissed all the time. But it was her who was supposed to get the gas turned on, and she never did. And that's one of the that's probably the only thing I remember from that period. Uh, Other than that, I remember driving a romance car, my friend from Americas. And I'm gonna need to talk about Americas more because a couple more things I reminded. Uh, I was driving his Chrysler old what's it called? It's like a boxy. Um anyway, it was gold, and we bought it at the auction too. At one time in Americas, we went to the auction, or was it after I came back? I think it was after I came back because he was using my Lincoln 88 town car. Because when I left, uh, I left my car there because I didn't know if I'm gonna be coming back or not. And he took my spot as a supervisor, Roman. He took my spot as a supervisor, and he was driving my car. And then yeah, I bought him another car, I think. And then we switched later on the cars. So I was driving his car, and later on, actually, when we moved to Griffin, Georgia, that car actually broke down, and we had to go get him another car. But anyway, uh, yeah, while we were in Americas with these guys, we took a trip to Atlanta downtown, and we didn't know that all these skyscrapers are just office buildings, and we just wanted to go up with the elevator, and and I had the camcorder, and I wanted to shoot some video from up top. And so we got in the elevator, and somehow we bypassed the front desk, because you have to say like you have an appointment somewhere in some kind of office. So we bypassed the front desk, and we got on the elevator, and got all the way up, like in the 70th floor, like I don't know, 65th floor, like all the way up in some fucking office, like a law office or something. you know just me and Roman, and we had like a video camera, and like a tourist, and we were like, hey. And some office people came, in suits, and what are you, like, who are you looking for? And I was like, we're not looking for anybody. We are here just to get a nice view, like a good view from up here, on Atlanta. And they were so cool about it. Uh, they let us in the office, and I could like film from the skyscraper. It was funny moment. That's one of the things that I reminded that just came up. Anyway, after a short period in Thomaston, Georgia, I moved, I think, to Villa Rica. Okay, I don't really remember exactly how the things went, and chronologically, I don't remember if there was anything else between. But basically, I was driving a lot around, south central Georgia, and around Atlanta. Like basically, Georgia was my home for like a very long time, like 2 years, or 3 years, from 2000 until 2003. Georgia was like my home. It was my country. All right, so I know all the cities, like Macon, Warner Robins. I actually met a girl in Warner Robins, one of the girls in one of the Czech girls working at one of the Walmart stores. I was picking up somebody else. Anyway, I mean, I could look at the map and name some towns, some cities in Georgia where I was. Warner Robins, Macon, Americus, Griffin, Thomaston, Griffin, Metairie. Is it in Georgia? Metairie. yeah, then I moved to Villarica. Okay, so in Villarica it was pretty fun. Uh, again, I was a supervisor there, and it was a group of nice people, young people, and we had tons of fun. You know, we celebrated like holidays and birthdays, and Daniela was there, the girl that I originally met in Americas. Uh, and we had one more occasional sex. All right, but she had a boyfriend. She met another guy, and that girl was crazy. I mean, she was like really skinny, and she had a bulimic uh, issue, and she was like really tall girl. She was a lot taller than me, and she was throwing up like every day. You know, she ate a lot, and then she threw up. She had this bulimic problem, and it's all because of mental psychological issue, because she also was in a place where she don't want to be, she doesn't want to be. And actually she had a mother in Mississippi who's got married to a American man, and then there was Adele and John Honza and Breja and a whole bunch of other people. And Danielle, she liked to stay in the sun all day, so she had a little inflatable pool for kids, and we put it in the backyard. Yeah, it was another rental house. It was like a 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom house in Villarica, and and we were cleaning the local Walmart, and I had another store on the side, so I was really making like tons of money. I had like 3,000, $3,200 a month, I think. But I was like really busting my ass like every night. I had very long nights, and then I was, you know, so tired during the day. And I saved up some money, and I bought me another vehicle because I was getting tired of adding water in my Lincoln town car, and that car was like really old, and I wanted to switch to something newer, so I don't even have to like fix that busted head gasket, because I was really like driving long distances with that vehicle, from store to store. And I started putting like before I didn't have to drive far, but now I was starting putting serious miles on that car, and it started giving me some trouble with, it started like really overheating a lot more. And I got some quotes on that, fixing that head gasket, and I wasn't like quite sure if I should pay like $1,500 for that. So I've decided to go to auction again, auto auction in Atlanta. It was called Odessa or Ardessa, something like that. And I bought me for $3,700. I bought a Chrysler Concord. It was uh, what year was it? 1998. Chrysler Concord. I don't really remember, but it was pretty newer car. It had only like 70,000 miles on it, and it had the smaller engine, 2.7 V6. It didn't have the 3.6, but 2.7, which I learned later on that this was like really bad engine at that time, and it was failing a lot. And of course, on my vehicle, it failed also. When I bought that car, it already was knocking a little bit. It was the crankshaft. Crankshaft was busted, and and it was knocking. And I thought that it's not gonna be a big issue, but later on it was. And I still put on that vehicle another like 17,000 miles, before I had to like eventually sell it to a junkyard for like 800 bucks. Anyway, I'll get to that point. Uh, anyway, so I was in Villarica. I was working as a supervisor at a local Walmart. There was about, you know, 5 or 6 of us again, and you know, things were happening. I met a girl at Walmart. She was working at Walmart. American girl, right? Her name was Nancy. She was like Irish descent. You know, she had freckles and red hair. And one day I was like standing there waiting for my wax, you know, to get dry. Coat of wax. I just laid down a coat of wax, and she approached me and she was like, you know, what's your name? I'm Nancy. You know, I work here. She started like flirting with me and shit, and she wasn't like really pretty, but she wasn't like really fat or ugly either. So she was like, you know, average looking girl. She was a little bit taller than me, and she was about a year older. And we started talking, and eventually we started fucking. So it was my only girlfriend, only American girlfriend, and I started, you know, going to her house, to her parents, and like I always had these pains and aches, you know, probably from the Lyme disease. I don't know. I'm still dealing with it, and you know, I was going to doctors and chiropractors and massagists, and her mother actually, she was some kind of specialist for deep tissue massages, and she like started like really pressing on all these stiff nerves or whatever ligaments or whatever it is, and she was always telling me like how stiff I am, like how much tension I got, and I really liked it, and I thought it's gonna continue. Like I could do this like every day, you know. So I was going to her house, and she did it probably like one more time, and then she gave up. So this didn't happen like regularly, and so we started dating, and we were like, I learned going with her to like Waffle House, you know, and all these other American joints. Uh, at that time, you could actually still smoke inside Waffle House, so she was smoking a lot. So we were like smoking cigarettes all the time together, and like in Waffle House, and you know, every time we had a lunch break, we would like get on the car and drive home. It was like 5 minutes to work, and we would drive home in the middle of the night, like, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning, and be fucking, and then go back to work. You know, yeah, yeah. She had 2 kids. She had a little daughter, like 7 year, 8 year old daughter, and then she had like a 1 year old son. And both kids she had with different guy, and the second kid she had with, you know, a guy that she just broke up with, but they never really broke up, and she was moving to their mobile home because she still lived with her parents, but they had like a really big property towards Bremen in Georgia. It's like further away from Atlanta, from Villarica, to the west, and that's where she lived. And her father, he was actually retired. He worked in aviation. He had his own like runway and his own plane, like right there in the backyard, you know. And one day I remember he showed up, and he had an envelope, and this is the last payment for our house, and he was like really old, you know. He was barely living, like he was barely breathing, like he would be taking nap like every hour, like he was really tired guy, old guy. and he just paid off his house, man. It was like funny moment. And yeah, man, I was with her. I don't know how long this lasted, but we would be like going to McDonald's with the kids, and I was jumping with the kids on the trampoline, and she had a yeah she had a Pontiac Firebird V6, not the V8 version, but the V6, and she let me drive it while she was gone on vacation to Florida, and so I had it for like 2 weeks, I think. And it wasn't a new car. It was like old uh, car, and I felt so cool, driving it to work. And when they came back from the vacation, she like blamed me for for breaking it, because one time she let me drive it. I was like doing the donuts, and because it's got the rear wheel drive, so I started doing the donuts at the Walmart parking lot, and then she blamed me that I broke it, like the rear end, the differential started making like noises, and I didn't break it. It was just old car. But anyway, because I wanted American girlfriend, and I needed to get married and get a green card. I would do anything just to satisfy. So I told her, I'm gonna fix it for you. So we went to a junkyard, and I paid for everything. Okay, so I bought a new transaxle, with the differential, the rear axle, and I put it in her garage. I put it on the lift, and I replaced the rear end, and I fixed her clutch. It was actually a stick shift, so I fixed the clutch, and I fixed the differential, and put it all back together, and it cost me money. And she never even and I also lent her like $500 cash one day for something, and then after that she got back together with that ex-boyfriend of hers, and it really sucked. And also another thing, uh, while she was working at the Walmart, soon, after we met, she also started working as a stripper at one of the Atlanta uh, stripper clubs, and there's tons of them, around Atlanta. So she was also working as a stripper, and I was going to see her to the club, from time to time, and I really didn't like that, how she's selling herself, and and when I was with her during the day, she had a bunch of phone calls from dudes, of getting some offers, cash for sex, and all that shit. So she was hanging out with older gentlemen, for money, and she was going to like a baseball games or whatever. I don't really remember, but this was crazy relationship, and it wasn't supposed to work out. I lowered my expectations so much, that I was dating with her only for me to get my green card. So when she got back together with her ex-boyfriend, man, I got so pissed. I would be like, stalking her, like where she was going to, who she was fucking. I would go one night. I would go to her trailer, a double wide, or maybe it was a single wide. I don't remember. To her trailer, and she actually moved. I actually helped her to move some furniture in there, and then she was fucking her ex-boyfriend in there instead of me. So they got back together, and one night I went there, and I wanted to like talk to her or whatever the deal was, and I literally saw them like through the window. I saw them fucking together, so that was it for me. The next day I went to her house, and I just told her, I really loved you. I told her I really loved you, and you fuck your ex-boyfriend. I mean, what the fuck? So I just told her I'm done with her, and that was it. the only thing I wanted was the $500 that I landed her, that I lent her. So, but she never gave me the money. So I went there a couple more times with my new Chrysler Concorde. I actually bought that like in between. Uh, so like a week after I bought it, I went there with my new Concorde, and I remember asking for my $500 back, and her boyfriend came out of nowhere, like from like behind the trailer, with like some kind of tool. What's it called? I can't remember what's it called. It's like a big wrench, and he was like, "Get the fuck out of here!" And I got really scared, so I jumped in the car and left, and I never saw my $500. Anyway, so that was my stripper girlfriend, Nancy. I was dating in Villa Rica, in Georgia, and and that's it for today. I'll be talking more in my next video.